Half a century ago, Jaguar built 12 extraordinary race cars.
Music.
Known as the Lightweight E Types, today these cars change hands for up to £5 million.
You're buying an entry into some fantastic events all over the world. You know, it's a lifestyle.
Now Jaguar is delving back into its past to build 6 brand new lightweights.
Look at this.
Solely for the super rich.
Every 6 minutes is a photo taken. They're going to put a book and a film together.
Handmade to the very highest standards.
If it isn't perfection, we shouldn't be considering it.
If they prang now and had to repaint,
About 40 grand, I should think.
how much? And if that's not enough,
We're planning 6 bespoke watches. It'll have a part of the car melted down and put inside. This is our luxury suitcase for the customer. Sorry, I love the smell of it.
but even a spare million isn't enough to buy this car. You have to be chosen.
I don't want to categorise them as millionaires or billionaires.
This is almost like a Van Gogh or a Picasso.
Jaguar is one of Britain's most well-loved brands, with a history of designing motoring icons. This year, it's risking its reputation on the most expensive car it has ever made. Its origins go back to that 1960s icon, the E Type. Renowned for its beautiful shape and top speed of 150 miles an hour, it was the epitome of celebrity cool.
A new thoroughbred, descended from a long line of champions, it sets the pace for tomorrow.
In 1963, Jaguar took the E-Type blueprint and created 12 racing versions, the Lightweights. Made of aluminium, they were lighter and faster. They won 21 major races. Now Jaguar is planning the most ambitious project it's ever undertaken and building an exclusive new run of lightweights. I'm an engineering fanatic with a particular passion for all things E-Type, having restored one 10 years ago. I've been granted exclusive access to witness history in the making. E-Types for me are the sexiest, the most beautiful, the most iconic cars ever built. Hello, Martin.
Yes.
Martin.
Hello,
Martin.
Mark. Hi.
Hi, Mark Evans.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I've come to meet Martin Hollingsworth and Kevin Riches, the two men in charge of the build.
Jaguar in the early 60s, 63, took out 18 chassis numbers to build competition lightweight aluminium racing Jaguar E-Types. And for some reason, they only built 12, and 6 remain unfulfilled. This is the original 60s chassis ledger, so 1 to 12, and then here are the chassis numbers that were not assigned.
So completely blank.
Yeah, the numbers that we're going to use to complete these builds. We've never done this before.
How much are you going to charge for these?
They will be expensive cars.
Yes. It's not going to be anything like the cost of the cars that we built today.
Probably somewhere around £1 million.
When it comes to building bespoke cars for the super rich, Jaguar are in new territory. Their bread and butter is mass-producing cars for the luxury market.
We are producing about 80,000 units a year. What you're seeing here is a robot doing all the handling process, makes it very repeatable, very accurate, millimetre perfect. I've been here since I left school, and I'm second generation. My father was here before me in the early 60s, when it was all done by hand, and a very, very labour-intensive operation.
Half a century ago, hand-building cars was the norm. Kev's dad was one of many whose skills helped shape Jaguar's reputation. Today, in a corner of Jaguar's plant, Kev's carefully selected team are turning the clock back 50 years. Jaguar have set themselves exacting standards for a handmade car. It must be millimetre perfect.
There's a gap behind here.
It's supposed to be nice and flat and flush across there.
It's a knock-on effect. When you come fit the door might be out.
Scratch your head moment.
I think that's too long for starters.
Because they're handmade, you've got to put them right. It's not like machine parts with everything, the tolerance is perfect.
You know, it'd be no fun if it all fitted.
Jaguar want their 6 chosen buyers to know exactly the painstaking lengths they're going to. Morning, chaps. What's this going on up here?
Oh yeah, we're filmed all throughout the day. They're going to put a book and a film together for each owner.
Do you know who the owners are?
We haven't been told.
You are building these cars and no one has told you...
It's all a big secret.
So why is that riveted and not spot welded?
Because on the car, original car, it was riveted. So we're actually copying the car to all of its originality.
Riveting a whole car on the production line takes 5 hours. Doing it by hand will take 2 months. I mean, I just can't imagine the pressure.
We just get told that the customer's waiting for their car and we've given blood.
The world into which these lightweights are destined is the exclusive classic car market.
Hi there, is Ben available?
When it comes to selling extraordinary cars to the super wealthy, Gregor Fiskin is an old hand.
I'm top form, top form. Spring is in the air, so we're all raring to go at the moment. And yourself? My job is to make sure that those that we introduce to classic cars not only get the right classic cars, but they find the events, have camaraderie when they're on rallies. It's a little bit like a concierge, really, someone who shows you the door to a good time. And that's not a bad gift to give.
These aren't just cars. They're a passport to an elite lifestyle.
You're buying the history, you're buying rarity, and you're buying an entry into some fantastic events all over the world. Doing rallies, and the rarer the car, the more likely you are to be invited. And obviously, the rarer the car, the more expensive they tend to be. You know, it's a lifestyle.
Membership of this club doesn't come cheap.
This here is a Becquet de Large from 1921. We have an asking price of £1.5 million. Ferrari, we agreed a deal a couple of weeks ago on $4.5 million. For this, we have an asking price of £2.2 million.
But more expensive than all the other cars, worth just under £5 million, is a 1960s Jaguar Lightweight.
This is the 4th of the 12 factory lightweights. This is one of the most original. Got all original trim, all original leather. Smell that. Fantastic.
That's the smell of an old car.
1960s. You know, what an ultimate weapon in its day. And this car had a stellar competition history. It was raced by Roy Salvadori, who was a Lewis Hamilton, Jensen Button type guy of his level.
Music. Absolutely lovely.
It won't race again. I don't think it's too valuable. You know, it's a very small club if you want ownership and membership, and they don't come up often.
Jaguar hopes the 6 new lightweights will be as highly regarded as the original 12. It's project manager Kev's job to make sure every part is flawless, even those under the bonnet.
Got some fixings.
Bit of imperfection on that.
Oh dear me.
There's a tiny chip on the top of the engine frame.
It's not very good, is it?
No.
We want the paint to be really as good as possible. Not happy with that, we need to get that repaired. I doubt whether the owner will see it, but I know it's there and we need to get the quality up.
So how's your day been?
All right, actually. Well, the customer's waiting for it, he can't wait. You know.
But he can't.
At home, Kev's wife Sue has to live with his car obsession.
Kev is cars, and without cars he wouldn't be Kev. As you can see, we don't have ornaments like normal people. This one in particular, he gets really cross because I keep breaking the wheel off. He says, please don't dust my cars. And I say, well, dust some yourself then. And he sits looking at his cars, drinking his beer out of a mug with a Jaguar handle. Kev bought our E-Type. We'd been married about a year, hadn't we?
Yeah.
And we were so skint at the time we couldn't afford bedroom curtains. And he told me that this E-Type was immaculate. And when he brought it home, it was far from immaculate.
Yes, I put all the new panels on, did the body prep, painted it. This is all the original leather seats. They've never been repaired or anything. And it's lovely just to take it for a trundle up the road. It's been a great springboard as to actually understand the authenticity of the lightweights that we've been working on, because, you know, I can look at my car for reference. So, yeah, so it's been fantastic.
Authenticity will be the key to pleasing Jaguar's demanding clients. Many of the outer panels are hand-rolled by traditional craftsmen.
Have you now received your order?
But one is so big, it needs to be pressed by machine.
Will that include the bonnet upper pressing?
Kev has located the only original 1960s E-Type bonnet press in Newcastle.
The tools have not been used for this sort of activity for a long, long time, and I'm very nervous about this.
When Kev arrives, his worst fears are realised.
Where did the tool split then, Dave? Oh, God, yeah.
The old tool is cracked.
That's it as well. Then we had to put a big tie rod in to bolt the two together.
Is it going to work then, Dave?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I like it. Good. I've had many sleepless nights over this. Customers have all got delivery dates for these cars. If it doesn't work, we can't meet those commitment dates. And for Jaguar Land Rover, we really, really don't want to go there.
Close your eyes at this moment.
OK. So I've got a split on the corner there.
The fate of Jaguar's new lightweight E-Type project hangs in the balance. The first bonnet has been pressed, but the aluminium has split.
Can we go and have a look at it?
Again, the trim line on the headlamp is about this area.
Yeah.
And it gets trimmed down to here and across from the nose. It's a good panel, to be honest.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the splits are in the metal that will eventually be removed.
Can I breathe again, then? The overall profile looks great. It really does look good.
The excess metal is precision trimmed with a laser. But Kev thinks he'll need at least 3 bonnets per car.
These are race cars. And the first thing that happens with a race car, if you come off the track, chances are you're going to dent the bonnet. So we need to make sure we've got a supply of bonnets for the customers of these cars.
Successful day so far.
Nice, yeah, it's very good.
Every part of these new lightweights must be authentic, including the interior upholstery. I've come to meet one of Jaguar's last remaining leather cutters, who's recreating the original leather seats.
How are you?
Hiya, Mark, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm really good. This is it, finished.
This is the lightweight seat.
Did you have actual plans to work from?
We did some internet search to find out what the seats were like, and then we
You're kidding? You
Oh, yeah.
actually, like, Googled it?
Yeah, I went on Google.
That's really...
See what they do.
Just love the idea of you sitting there at home over your bread Googling.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of, what the hell did these seats look like in these lightweights? It's just beautiful.
Mark's upholstery department is a shadow of its former self. Back in the 1960s, Jaguar employed dozens of staff to make seats and leather trim.
All leather-covered parts are prepared in the trim shop, employing a very high proportion of craftsmen. Approximately 3 complete hides go into every car. They are matched for colour and grain, and any blemishes or scars are avoided.
So all these templates are all for one seat?
Yes.
There are millions of them.
The first thing a leather cutter would do, basically, is you draw a line down the backbone of the cow and you work either side of a backbone. Because usually, off there, you've got neck grain, which is poor, but the better grain comes down as you come down the hide. Because of the price of the car, we're really being hypercritical on any leather we've got. It's got to be perfect leather.
The trim department is being true to every period detail. What's inside there?
Paper.
Is that exactly what would have been in there in 1963?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Putting the two panels together with piping in between, that's where the skill comes in, you know, like that.
That is really lovely.
This is a current production seat. The seat's probably working a 16-way operation, up, down, backwards and forwards and everything. Try and pick that up.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Motors, screw gears.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in time-wise, on a production line, putting a complete seat together would take how long?
20 minutes.
How long does it take to upholster the complete one?
3 days. That's what we're working on at the present time with that seat.
Do you feel quite a lot of pressure?
Yes, you do feel some pressure because obviously what the customer's paying for this, the attention to detail's got to be paramount.
With only one lightweight seat made, Mark hopes it'll pass its inspection by Kev and Martin.
That's beautiful. Screw heads, all 90 degrees, lovely, yeah. It's like Christmas.
It's more exciting than Christmas. Look at that.
As well as the seats, there are leather-clad door panels.
There's a scratch on the leather there. I won't rest easily in the knowledge that I've got a little blemish on it. You probably won't see that when it's in the car, but the fact that it's here on this occasion, we'll go back to the trimmers and have this card re-leathered. At the cost of the car, this is something that, if it isn't perfection, we shouldn't be considering it.
While Jaguar strive to produce a flawless new lightweight, one of the originals has recently been restored from a mangled wreck.
When you come out, you don't sort of polish it first then?
That'd be ridiculous. It's a racing car.
Jaguar collector Peter Newmark has spent 4 years rebuilding the car after it crashed in 1964.
There was only one straight panel in the whole car. All the aluminium was flattened and they reshaped it. People were killed when it crashed. I prefer it wasn't there, but it wasn't the car's fault. That's the way I rationalise it. It wasn't the car's fault. And it's an important part of Jaguar's history.
Peter's lightweight was last valued at £5 million. Today he's taking it back on the racetrack for the first time in 50 years. But it's fragile.
Because the metal is that old and it's been reworked, if it was damaged in any way, then we'd lose this metal, and we can't do that. Hence, we just play with it. We're not going to race it.
It does sound bloody good, doesn't it? Yes, it does.
Don't the hairs on the back of your neck stand up?
Ridiculous, but it is the first time I've been out on the track, and she was great. I don't normally think about history when I'm driving a car, but actually, I did going around there.
A racing history is something Jaguar can't build into the new lightweights. So at Jaguar HQ, the special operations team are racking their brains for ways to give their 6 new lightweights their own prestige.
You know, Jaguar's got a huge amount of history, you know, really some history that other car brands would absolutely die for. And we got to nurture that and bring that to the forefront.
Each of the new lightweights has a unique vehicle identification number that was reserved for the cars, which were never built in the 60s. The team wants to give each of them its own presentation case.
Ahead of their car arriving, we're going to have an aluminium model painted in the colour of their choice and a base trimmed in their leather.
These are going to be fixed in, I take it?
Yeah, it'd be all fixed in, but we still have to have the movement above, so when we can lift off the model.
Okay.
So then, obviously, this is the bin plate. Yeah, obviously, the customer can come in at the end, pop rivet on.
Okay. Is there going to be any instructions?
Yeah, we'll have to produce a sort of document.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be quite difficult to take out, so I think we probably might want to make that recess slightly deeper.
Okay.
So that when someone comes in, they can get their finger there and just pick it off nicely. Having a little recess in here with the 4 rivets is so special.
David and Charlie have come up with more than one way to give their super rich clients that exclusive touch.
What we're planning is to produce 6 bespoke watches. It'll have a part of the car be melted down and put inside the watch. The movement inside the watch is designed like a E-Type steering wheel. It's just another little piece to make that story that just extra little bit special.
At a traditional English watchmaker's, it's the moment of truth.
Coming in, let me show you the watches and the watch box. So,
Right, okay.
it's the final watch.
Superb. Sometimes you don't want to give it to them. You worked so hard on it. So.
What car?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then you haven't seen this, a box, and obviously the watch sits in there.
I'm absolutely thrilled with this case.
It's the whole package, isn't it?
I'm absolutely bowled over with this. It's just
it's quite
so superb.
it's quite touchy, isn't it? Really, and which is a watch is all about. And I think
well, it's that whole sort of it's the anticipation of it as well, of clicking it in.
What's in it, and
it looks so premium.
With so much effort being poured into every little detail of this project, I want to know what the business angle is.
John, nice to meet you.
Wow, nice to meet you. John Edwards is a director at Jaguar. As the man who released the cash for the lightweight project, he's risking the company's global reputation and millions of pounds on its success.
How will you measure the success of this project in purely business terms?
This is about reminding the world that we have a great heritage, that we're interested in that heritage. It's about introducing ourselves to some customers. We're selling them a different level of product here. We would like to create a relationship with these customers and do business with these customers, help them indulge in their passion for our cars.
You want a bit of the super rich?
We want to help them indulge in their passion.
Do you want me to loosen these off?
In the workshop, I'm wondering how the build team are handling the pressure.
Morning, guys.
Kevin Martin have just been given some unexpected news.
What we've got happening today, we're going to have the first customer, not the customer of this car, but the first customer along to see this car.
One of the lucky 6 who's actually put money down to buy the car, so there's a lot of pressure on us.
We are nervous, but we feel that the car, Martin and I feel that the car is fantastic.
These are people who don't suffer fools. Quality to them is
correct.
Everything. But he's not seen the car
yet.
at this stage.
No.
If he walks in here and just goes, no, it's not what I expected, whose head is on the block?
A good question. I mean, to be honest, if it's as bad as that, then the credibility of the whole project, I think, is at stake. Because whoever might say this isn't what I thought I was getting would suggest that we've either missold it or we're not creating what we think we should be creating.
They'll soon find out, because he's only 2 hours away.
Obviously, I'm spending a lot of money for the car, and it'll be very, very good to see exactly what's going on.
Stand the clearances around there. Clearances around
It's a big day for Jaguar. Multi-millionaire John Breslo, one of the clients they're hoping will buy a new lightweight, is making a flying visit to England to check on progress.
I owned a welding supply business in the Midwest, and I felt really bad about selling a family business. So I decided I wanted a kind of a bonus to make me feel good. So I have, maybe 30, 35 cars. I don't know the exact amount.
He'll be met by Tony Schulp, Jaguar's broker, who wants to keep the sale of the car on track.
What's this guy like? I mean, hopefully I'll get to meet him.
He's a car collector. He's an enthusiastic car collector. He drives them. He doesn't leave them at home in the garage. There is so much interest and so many people want it that we want to choose the right owners. People are going to love and care and cherish the cars and use them.
He's going to be here in 5 minutes. They must feel inside hugely pressured. Because if an owner walks in here and says, I don't want it anymore, one of these guys will lose their job.
This is Martin Hollingsworth.
Hi, how are you? John Breslo.
Very pleased to meet you, Martin's
John.
one of
Nice
the
to
guys
see
in
you.
charge of the build here.
This is the body construction. And now the guys have got to start trimming it and putting all the final assembly together. We even talking about painting the interior. We said, no, let's leave it aluminium.
Originally, were they like this?
Yeah, they were.
Originally,
Yeah,
they were polished aluminium.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Are these holes stained?
They will have bungs on. So they will be grommeted in there.
I think that's what they Because I plan on driving it. I plan on driving it. So it does look like an airplane.
It does, yes.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah. As an engineer, it's got most of the bits.
Yeah.
So even if it isn't a complete engine,
It's kind of, I like the engineering. Was that the way it was in the original?
in this area here, we set up a body construction area just for the lightweight.
Just make sure you do number 4 the best. That's mine.
John, can I just grab you before you go?
Absolutely.
How has today been for you?
Fantastic. When you're a kid, you never really realize that the dreams are going to come true. And this is a dream that's come true. Too many people buy things that are put away like Van Goghs, and this is almost like a Van Gogh or a Picasso. And people ought to be able to see it. And I'll take it to shows and I'll race it.
Goodwood, the UK's mecca of historic racing. Every classic race car owner dreams of being invited to compete here. The members' meeting is one of the most exclusive dates in the British classic car calendar. I've come to find out what the elite think of Jaguar's new lightweights. The first person I want to speak to is Sean Lynn. He owns one of the original 12 lightweights. So you have lightweight E Type race car number 1.
Yeah, I do.
That is amazing. Tell me a bit about that story.
Such a massive, long history of what this car became. It raced all the way through its life. Graham Hill, Roy Salvadori, Jackie Stewart, they all raced it.
So the heritage thing is really, really key.
it's you know, that's why, you know, the cars mean so much to you. What they did back in period and how they raced, how they changed, how they evolved.
So what do you think about Jaguar's announcement to build 6 more lightweights?
From a historical perspective, I think it's wrong. I think that you're sullying, to an extent, the original race history that Jaguar had with the original lightweights and why they were so special.
How would it compete with your car if it was put on this track together?
Be quicker. Not made of 1960s, it's made of 2015 materials. And the copy car's worth a lot less. And if you're going wheel to wheel with somebody, he's risking a lot less than you are. So you'll back off.
The first of the new lightweights has already been approved to race by Motorsport's governing body. Lord March.
Hi.
But I want to hear what the man running this meeting thinks of them. The last 6 cars to be built by Jaguar. Would they get an invite to Goodwood potentially?
No, because we don't have replica cars racing at Goodwood. As much as we possibly can, we'll run the absolute real car. And if we have to get that for America or China, wherever it is, we'll get it. There's no getting away from the fact it is a new car. The chassis is brand new. It hasn't won a race before, and a lot of these great lightweights here, they raced at Goodwood in period. They have a fantastic history, and now they're racing here again.
He used the word replica, and the fact that he said very clearly he would not let one on his racetrack. That's interesting. If you're one of the 6 lucky people who is spending £1.5 million on these cars, wouldn't you kind of expect you might get an invitation? The build team has spent 4 months crafting the first lightweight. Now perfectionist Kev must hand it over to the paint facility.
And under the bonnet, it's painted to this seal edge here.
We don't want the inside of the car marking or scratching, so we need to make sure we articulate all that across to the team here.
Bonnet painted down to the edge here.
It's like letting go of your baby, you know. It's always a worry.
In advance of its paint job, the team spend over 2 weeks filling and sanding every imperfection in the outer metal. The lightweight preparation and paint takes 850 man-hours, as opposed to just 10 on the production line. After 4 times more layers of base coat and primer than a normal car, the lightweight is almost ready for its final colour.
We get rid of all the salty hand marks. We are being a little bit over-cautious. Never know, might get to have a go in it one day.
Nearest I get to have a go on one is when I've been pushed in it.
Oh, well, yeah.
Staring out the workshop.
Yeah. Not a bad colour, look. To mix this up, there's probably over 12 of these different tinters to make that one colour.
The colour the client has chosen is gunmetal grey, a shade Jaguar has reproduced from the original 60s palette.
Oh, a couple of astronauts.
Hey? I feel like Armageddon.
Going to the moon.
In total, 9 layers of paint and lacquer are applied.
Privilege to work on something like this. It's going to be someone's pride and joy, isn't it, one day?
The car isn't the only thing being painted. In the room next door, panels that will eventually become an accompanying luxury suitcase are receiving similar treatment.
It's the first time I've ever painted a suitcase before.
Is it stitched?
Upstairs in the offices, the special operations team are pondering the suitcase's finer details.
Thinking this is what we put in each of the 6 cases.
It's like the colour against the
the
sort of cream and because it's quite neutral. So
we've had this idea to produce a suitcase for the lightweight customers based on the fact that to qualify for 1964 GT racing, you had to be able to prove that you could carry in your car a suitcase. It's quite a quirky rule, but we thought it was one that's worth celebrating.
After weeks of back and forth, David and Charlie are en route to the Queen's own suitcase maker to inspect the first case. It's a big moment for Charlie.
I'm nervous in the sense that I know in Dave's eyes this element of the project's got my name firmly attached to it.
If he gets it wrong, then I'll be going back home on my own. No pressure.
This gentleman here is Joe, who's our factory manager.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
Can I let you open it?
No, you do the honours. You've been working on this. This is really something else. It's just another element of why this car is different. I just love that. Everybody's going to be looking at you when you turn up in the car. I think we need to think about whether we put anything in it.
It's quite nice opening it and just having the full impact of the print.
But it's even a nicer choice if you lifted it up and they had in their size their racing garment or maybe even a nice set of gloves. But again, it's that constant, oh my God, every time I'm surprised by the time I open a door or I open a bookcase.
I hear you guys have been thinking of wallpaper sometime as well.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you, though? It's great.
I know.
Sorry, I love the smell of it as well.
Happy, very happy, excited to keep my job.
Yeah. Getting really excited now for the customer to see this. And actually, I think there's going to be a few people fighting around who's going to actually show the customer all these things. It's always better giving rather than receiving.
Back at Jaguar, the marathon 3-week paint process is nearly finished. I've come to see the results. Morning, chaps. That looks amazing. With a red leather interior, perfect.
Be nice.
If they pranged this car and had to repaint, that would be an expensive job.
I should say so, yeah. About 40 grand, I should think. Yeah. start
How
again.
much?
Well, I bet
40 grand?
I bet you wouldn't get a lot of change out of 40 grand, yeah.
Whereas if you were just painting in the stuff the cars were originally painted, the cellulose, that would have been painted 90, that's going to cost you, what?
10 quid a litre, I think, yeah.
I mean, that tells you a lot about these cars, doesn't it?
Yeah.
While the boys finish polishing, I can't help but sneak a peek at the car. Looks amazing.
Beautiful piece of art.
You must. It is a piece of art. You must be incredibly proud of that paint job.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah. It's almost like liquid metal. The contrast with the kind of rawness of the aluminium just works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A week later, and it's all hands on deck to get the place looking presentable.
Never, like a little Duracell man with his machine and his broom, and he just never stops.
We've got the customer of car 1 coming through on Monday, so it's got to be nice and clean and tidy.
With the first buyer coming to see his very own finished car, it's a race to get it ready.
The 8-post finishes are going to be on, aren't they?
The 8-post finishes we've got over here
No,
are in aluminium. They're not painted.
Why aren't they painted?
Because they need fitting.
Okay.
To the car.
Before they're painted?
Before they're painted, yeah.
I need to understand
No, what will happen?
what it isn't going to have, because this is the point where probably anxiety is at its highest. The fear of scratching it or putting a screw on and the screwdriver slips, and you know we've all done that. So it's difficult. It's a difficult time for us.
In 2 days' time, the man Jaguar has chosen to buy the first £1 million E-Type lightweight is coming to inspect the finished car. But it's far from ready.
We have to have the quality. That's paramount. To get it to a point where the customer can come in and see a complete car. We can't fail on that. We've got to have the car on its wheels, sitting there, looking all pretty. We need to get the gaps even all the way around, and so that each of the sides match. Near on perfect as possible. I want them perfect, actually.
So that's 10 mil, but that gap's got to be 9 mil. 6 mil that side.
It's like a Chinese puzzle.
Yeah, but maybe it moved forward again.
Might have.
So let's have a look at taking that back a mil then.
Run it over some rollers to lift the frame up slightly there. That might do that, mightn't it?
Might do. Might do.
The team is meticulous for good reason. The wealthy client has so far only left a deposit for the car. This visit will decide if he actually wants to buy it.
Where we are on the day, he'll look at it when it's on the ramp.
Yep.
And he'll say, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, or if you think I'm paying 1.2 million for this, you are kidding. And then hopefully he will sign his contract. Oh, and then the other thing is, we just need an area where you can put some pastries and a cup of coffee.
There probably won't be any space for pastries, so we just put an extra table
How
there.
big are the pastries?
They're big ones, Martin.
Good, well done, team. This is so
We'll be
exciting.
okay.
Despite the pressure, Chief Engineer Martin finds time to appreciate the little details.
That's the gaiter for the gear shifter. We just had this made up, and just look at it. It's just beautiful. And it smells beautiful. You probably think I'm a bit sad, really, but I love things like this. It almost moves from a piece of mechanical equipment to a automotive art. It's the most gorgeous car in the world, made to the highest standard. It's just fabulous. Quite emotional, actually.
The day of reckoning has come at Jaguar. It's the first time one of the super-rich clients will see the finished £1 million car he has reserved.
He's due to arrive in 20 minutes, so exciting times. Our expectation is that he'll be pleased with it, but you never know on the day.
This is our opportunity to show how good the quality is and effectively what he's going to get for his money.
What's your corner, Dave? Because I think that's... Yeah. Yeah.
The issue we have is the bonnet latch You need to just get that latch down so that it's locking properly. It's not doing that at the moment, so...
It's hard to see what's going on when the bonnet's shut.
It's not even engaging in the pin. No. That wants to shove it inboard.
Shove a little bit. There we go.
That's it. Well done, Simon.
Slowly, I think.
That sounds dreadful. That seal is rubbish.
Right, can we start clearing this area out? Catering expert, perfect. Keep polishing, don't stop.
It's the culmination of 6 months' painstaking work to hand build this iconic car from scratch. Now Jaguar's first super rich client is arriving to give his verdict.
Yeah, Union Security, your VIP visitors arrived.
The customer is a very private man. I think that we owe it to him to be as discreet as possible, so we're going to have the handover in a private session, really. Anyway, I must ask if you could go. That would be really helpful. Thank you. Thanks.
The inspection lasts for more than an hour.
Very pleased. I think, I don't think he loved the car. It was 98% complete, so we've got a bit more to do.
The words he said were, they were never like this in '63. That's what I've seen. When you get that, it's like, great, this feels great, it's really good. And it makes it all worthwhile, you know, and you can see he actually meant it as well, which is fantastic.
E Type.
The first client has decided to go through with the purchase. But I wonder how he feels about the fact that some of the historic car world are turning their noses up. After my discovery at Goodwood, I've asked to meet up with Tony Schulp, Jaguar's broker who's selling the cars.
If I paid £1.5 million for a car and I couldn't get into those races, I might think I've been missold.
How do you think the owners will feel about the fact that they maybe can't get the car into Goodwood?
The cars by many of the race circuits, cars are by invitation anyway. And I think Goodwood's not the only race circuit in the world by any means. And the car will be able to compete in many, many places. You will see very few of the original cars racing because they're too expensive to race. The risk of damage is too high.
There is a bit of kind of sniffy attitude to replicas.
There is, but this is not a replica. It's that kind of elitism that sometimes happens. This is a classic Jaguar, there's no question of that.
But the car won't be racing on any track until it's gone round this one. At Jaguar's testing facility, Kev is going to put this £1 million machine through its paces for the first time.
It's exciting, but its nerves are running, they're running overtime at the moment. There will be some issues with the car, I'm sure. You'd never get a car like this to run right first time. But I'm just hoping that the issues that we have are only small.
Kev, how you doing? 6 months after the build began, I've come to get my first glimpse of the finished car.
It looks absolutely incredible. You can see why people are lusting after this car.
We can get some protective tape around the edges and along the sills.
Is that just to protect from the stone chips or
protect the paint
whatever?
from stone chips. Is it going to run okay? You never know with this sort of car. It's not like a conventional road car that we all drive these days. This is a race car.
Ready?
Go.
Go.
Do you want to put it in gear?
Right, ready?
Yeah.
Right, you ready?
Looking good at the moment.
Oh, yes!
Just need to get some heat into it. I've worked for Jaguar all my life. Started work on E-Types, always wanted one since a boy of 11 years old. And To start one of these up is just fantastic. It's a dream come true, it really is.
With its race-tuned engine now fired up and purring, it's time for Kev to ease the lightweight into its first run.
Okay.
Right, Kev, good luck. Don't break it!
We'll try.
Know as it goes past that that car is crying out to be floored. Oh, yes! Growling away like the big cat it is. Kev, how'd he go?
It's epic as you start pushing it a wee bit, you know. It's lovely, it really is.
So how big a relief is it for you personally?
It's colossal. This was the day that we had to make this work. Guys have done a great job, they really have.
But one crucial question remains. Can I have a go?
Oh, I don't know whether we can allow that. We can let you go in the passenger seat if you like.
But not drive it?
This is a sold car. We can't let anybody else drive it, apart from me, I'm afraid. Sorry, Mark.
So it's the passenger seat?
It's the passenger seat, I'm afraid.
Everybody who's been involved in this project should be massively proud. Their names will go down in the record books.
It's superb. I love driving it. Makes my job all worthwhile.